Hey guys, welcome to NIJ Changemakers. This is Priyanka, and today we are at Hauskas, JAMUN, which is a media production house, and we're here with the co-founders, Udayan and Ayesha. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome, thank you. So the first question is that I was really curious about when I was looking at your website is you guys had a very unique way of meeting and co-founding this company. And I heard Korean food and something else. So would you guys be able to tell us how JAMUN started?
It's a very short story. There's a lot of alcohol involved, so we don't remember much.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just a very random evening where we sort of met for dinner with some common friends.
Okay.
Complained a bit about the current state of affairs with film and television.
And what were some of those issues? If you remember.
Some of those issues were that, the stories that we wanted to tell weren't being told.
Okay.
We both had a background in international cinema. Me as a first assistant director and Ayesha as an art director.
Also, this is pre-streaming and pre a lot of the stuff that we have now.
Okay.
So the landscape was very different.
Okay.
And we both sort of felt the need to sort of use what we've learned and scale it down to something for the internet. So use the production value of advertising and film, but tell stories that need to be told. So we started with socially engaged content, and that's some of the conversations we had that evening. And interestingly, something that we bonded on that very evening was the Arushi Hemraj case, which 3 years later we did a podcast on. So it was quite
interesting. We're talking about almost like 8 to 10 years ago, and at that time either you had very big budget feature films, Bollywood films, or you had TV series. I don't think there was much on news, of course.
Yeah.
So the in between was not there, and I think today, there's a whole bunch of sort of content in that space, and I think we are creating a lot of that content as well. So,
Okay.
I think,
Okay, sounds good. But that didn't answer my question. So you guys spoke and you bonded over a bunch of issues. There were stories that needed to be told. So how did you guys think of, especially for young entrepreneurs out there, how did you guys think of co-founding a company to tell these stories?
So the company existed. So JAMUN existed in a different form with different partners, and that was going through a change. And I had just moved back from London and I was looking for something to do, which wasn't quite the foreign film circuit that I was working on, and wasn't quite the advertising world that I was working on.
Okay.
Ayesha herself was sort of looking for a producer to sort of tell the stories that she wanted to tell.
And I had also sort of just done the cycle of being an assistant in various foreign... I've just gone through the cycle of being an assistant in various departments on feature films as well, and done with the feature film thing. Basically, sort of done with working on other people's films.
Okay.
And really, it was a really, really tough time for young filmmakers at that time because...
and we're talking 2010-ish over here.
2005 to 2008.
Okay.
Yeah,
so a little bit before.
Because in that period, digital had just begun to sort of happen.
Right.
It's just starting to get the cameras that you could shoot off, editing platforms that you could have in your home. Earlier, everything was a studio, big rental, right? So if you're a filmmaker, how do you do that on your own? You have to have an industry that actually supports you that you can do this with.
Right.
Otherwise, you can't go out and make a film, right? Now people are doing it. You have point-and-shoot cameras, and you're getting up and you're editing on your own. So it was about timing. It was about the fact that we thought there was suddenly we were at a moment of a change, a cusp, with technology that would enable us to do this small. At that time, you had to get film, like raw stock, shoot your film, send it back to a lab, develop it. It was almost impossible for someone from Delhi to actually make their own films.
Absolutely. Okay. And that's kind of what we bonded on, is that, look, digital technology exists, small cameras exist, you don't need the crews that we're used to.
You've done some big budget films. You've done Dark Knight Rises, you've done Eat, Pray, Love. So at that time, those were a few years ago, that time you needed the big equipment, the big studios.
You still do for that level of filmmaking and storytelling. Right. That itself has gone through a change where that's also digital now.
Okay.
Yet, the demands of feature filmmaking at that scale, in terms of crew sizes, haven't really changed much. The big change has happened in sort of the content that we create, which is crews of 400 shrunk down to 4. So a lot of the documentary work is 4 to 6 people.
And for those that are maybe not part of this industry, how do you shrink down 400 to 4? If you could explain that process a bit.
So I can unpack that a little bit.
Yep.
So you don't for the level of a Sacred Games or Eat, Pray, Love or Dark Knight Rises. You perhaps scale down from 400 to 200.
Yep.
But that's a function of India and skills and what comes with lights and camera and art department and drivers and construction.
Right.
But you certainly can scale down for smaller, more interesting internet stuff. Not only in production but also in post. So a very simple logic of a big camera comes with 3 attendants. You now don't need an attendant because you can be a single independent shooter, editor, filmmaker.
Right.
The same with sound. So technology has enabled you to shrink down your crews on set but technology has also enabled you to shrink down your post-production process.
I mean,
Right.
just to give you, I mean, if you just think of the transition from film to digital, right? So each a reel is about how many minutes? Was it
Well, it
400?
depends. You can do 200 foot reel, 400 foot
So you're
reel.
talking about reels,
Yeah.
right? Those reels have to physically arrive on set, one.
Yep.
So there's a vehicle for them. Second, they have to be stored a certain way.
Yep.
They have to be changed from the camera between takes. They have to be taken somewhere. So just if you just talk about one component and you
Yeah,
think of what
of
that
many.
does to everything,
Yeah.
right? So it's
So you can definitely scale it down. Now you can just pick up a phone.
And you can
And then-
exactly.
yeah.
And you can scale it down in post as well. So you can the same person can sound design it, can edit it, can grade it, can put in
even
music
even
composition.
sound, for instance, was on tape.
Yeah.
And if you take that process to the post table, imagine you're doing all this with tape and film. Do you know how much more time that takes?
And how many more people?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
And-
it's you shrink down production, you shrink down post, and
Okay.
there you have it. That's sort of our setup now.
Now, at the same time, you mentioned it a little bit in your answer, skills, digital skills are very important. I think one thing that the government has done in the past few years is really encouraged millennials and young people and young working professionals to learn digital skills. Now, being in the media industry, obviously it is important, but would you say overall it is important to learn digital skills in 2018?
It's critical because, like, in today's day and age, you can't really just be an editor anymore. You must learn the technology. But I'm saying again, as much as that is a critical skill, it's very critical to be in depth about that skill. You can't just be an operator anymore, because then you'll be left behind. I think that's what's lacking here. I mean, people are very keen to just say that I have a digital skill. They're not really keen to go in deep and understand what it means to have that skill.
And I think accessibility to information is also much easier to
Completely.
research. And so
I
what
mean,
would
you
take
understood
days
stuff,
before
yeah, completely.
will take minutes or seconds now.
Exactly.
So let's go back a little bit to, I think part of what both of you were saying is that access to internet, access to technology is crucial, and it is a lot more prevalent now than it was before. I think we were talking before this interview about a couple of really cool projects that you've done, Toughest Men in India, Toughest Women in India, where you guys actually went at the grassroots level and you saw locally what was happening. Now, how important is access to technology at that level and learning at that level?
Documentary filmmaking is about access and a film unit presence. Now, if you're trying to tell intimate stories of people and trying to get them to open up, the presence of a large 20, 30 people crew is intimidating. But the presence of a 3-4 people crew, armed with the skills of, say, 10, is conducive to intimate storytelling. And that's kind of...
And this is what you did in this project. Can you talk a little bit about what you guys did?
Ideally, have a recce crew, someone who goes in earlier.
Check
We
it
don't
out.
We don't have the luxury.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
what do we do? WhatsApp, right? We had WhatsApp crews. I mean, local people on the ground. Before we went to Kashmir, people were sending us pictures.
Yep.
We could schedule. He knew, okay, we're going to do this day. We're going to do this in the morning. But I don't like this location, cancelled. So obviously, technology has sort of collapsed.
And that's what we did, right? I think you sent me pictures of the studio and we were able to kind of...
I mean,
Precisely.
yeah, and even more so, I would say, in the fiction work that we've done. So that's for documentary and going out of town. And in fiction, so art department, I mean, I used to work in the art department, and I remember what we had to do was go to Chandni Chowk, buy 10 types of lights in a tempo, bring it home. The director would then say, okay, this is okay, and that reject the rest of the night. I'd have to go and return them. Now you just WhatsApp, okay.
Those were the days.
Basically, we got commissioned to do a series on men in India. It was called Toughest Men in India. And we sort of thought long and hard about the title and thought that there's a lot of conversation around women always and about women's sort of complications and some kind of work that we've done a lot on women, and we thought that it's important to sort of also get into men's complications, dualities, complex dynamics.
Yeah,
these
it's
kind of
important.
things. And actually we were quite, I would say the word is awed by the men that we met, because you kind of start to look at men as two-dimensional figures. Good
Can you
and
give me an
bad.
example of that?
Good and bad.
Okay.
I mean, very simply.
Through what you saw though.
I know, in the world. I mean, in the world.
In the world,
media,
okay.
It's sort of like, this is a good guy, this is a bad guy. That's the
Yep.
extent of it. Men are complex. They have issues at home. They have issues with their family, with their sexuality, with their income, with economy. I mean, it's a whole range of stuff. And your whole range of men in India are sort of dealing with all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And they're hardworking. They're putting it in, they're doing their work, they're doing it with sincerity, honesty, with passion, and it's really inspiring to see that. It's inspiring not to paint people with one brush.
I think entrepreneurship was something that was just not a thing as of a decade ago, or even 5-6 years ago. At least my parents would say, why? You went to so-and-so school, you did this, you did that, why do you need to do this? It was just a very negative, it had a negative connotation to it. Now, I would say in the past 3 to 4 years, 5 years, it's completely changed. Everyone wants to become an entrepreneur. It's become the thing to do. So what's your take on that? And what got you started?
I would say actually, my parents are much more comfortable that I'm an entrepreneur or becoming an entrepreneur or whatever, but than being a freelancer in the film world, because that's really, really hard. I mean, you don't know where your next paycheck is coming from. You don't know when the next job is coming.
Right.
You don't know how long the next job is going to be for, and you don't know what you're going to do with your time and the time between.
Right.
In fact, actually, I remember sort of laughing at myself when I had to fill some visa form or passport form, and it said filmmaker, and I was like, but I'm not employed, so how am I making anything? So, I mean, it's a tough one also, but your parents, there is, as you said, the sort of environment has changed about the word entrepreneur.
To a more positive, I would say,
much
space.
More positive, and also, again, it doesn't come with the trappings of being a big industrialist.
Right.
People are, like, 2 people in an office can be entrepreneurs and do really well. So I think, the landscape has changed, and therefore it's afforded a sort of good look to the word.
Yeah.
It's still really hard. He will tell you about paying salaries every month is sort of...
It remains challenging.
Yeah.
So this sort of ties into a series that we will wrap tomorrow. It's called Stories of the New Hood, and it's 28 episodes on entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So from Chayos to Blue Tobacco Talk Coffee to Beer Cafe to Bhuvan Bam, who's the social media influencer, to Tripoto, the travel app.
Yep.
We've done 28 of these. And their stories are sort of similar. It's what you were saying earlier, is that... and
they are actually, they were most of them.
Absolutely. So a lot of them are IIT, educated abroad, studied abroad. And from their parents' point of view, that it comes from protection, right? I remember one of the founders, and it stays with me actually. He's like, his parents could not understand why he would give up. So he's educated at IIT, he's got a fat salary abroad somewhere in Silicon Valley. Why would he give that up to come back to India and sell tea?
Yeah.
And somewhere India has changed and it's possible now.
So now we're going to move on to rapid fire, which is, you've had your coffee. Yeah. So first thing that comes to your mind when I ask the question, right? So,
sure.
All right. It's not that bad. So most interesting thing that you have ever seen on a set?
A peacock.
That's the most interesting. And why is that the most interesting thing?
It's illegal to have it on set.
Okay, great. And what about you?
The most interesting thing I've seen is a person from the lighting department squatting and holding a plug in place.
Okay.
And that's his job all day.
All day. So he probably had like really powerful thighs at the end of the day. Okay. This one is for you. Dark Knight, Mission Impossible, Eat, Pray, Love, or what was the other one that you were telling me about? Slumdog Millionaire.
Very hard question. Different lessons from all of them. I'd say Slumdog Millionaire.
And why would you say that?
Because the film became something, and I was actually not on set for it. It's one of the only films I was on in the cutting rooms in London.
Okay.
So to actually sit in on the edit from day one to the time that it was on the big screen was pretty phenomenal.
Awesome. And Ayesha, favorite film festival?
Festival? I think the one that I went to, Clermont-Ferrand, France.
Okay.
It's like the Oscars for short films. That was my first actually big film festival experience.
Okay.
Amazing.
What did you like about it?
It's a town of 100,000.
Okay.
And it's the festival happens in winter, in February. And there's snow like above your head actually. And the audience for the festival is 200,000. So it's double the amount of the people in the town.
That's like literally
quite
double the town.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Films or podcasts?
My easy answer would be film.
Okay.
I can't choose between two children.
What do you think about podcast landscape in India?
I don't know. I think I think it's only just opening up.
Okay.
I think it needs a lot more time before it sort of really sort of explodes in a way. A lot more content also coming up. A lot more platforms allow it in an ungated way.
Yep.
But my hope and dream is that it really sort of opens up.
I think it will. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we have long commutes. It will.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it. Which skill is most important for direction?
Intuition.
Okay.
It's not a skill, but yeah. What skill? It's a tough one.
Why would you say intuition? That's the first thing that came to your mind.
I think as much as you study and you learn, the minute you get on set, things are going to change. Everything.
And how would you look for that in someone you're hiring?
Again, that's a really tough one. I mean, because I think it's a balance of as analytical as you can be and as intuitive as you can be, and these things are in opposite directions.
Okay.
So I don't think that anyone has it the minute you meet them, or like here and now. You develop these things, you hone them, as long as you keep practicing them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Udayan, what about which skill is the most important for production?
I think visualization and anticipation. I think you become a good producer if you can anticipate everything that will go wrong and visualize how to fix it.
Okay, it's a great answer. And I would say now last question on rapid fire. What advice would you give for young entrepreneurs? And that's the second to last question. Let's go with that one.
What advice
would you give to young entrepreneurs wanting to enter and do something similar to what you guys are doing right now?
Study, research, know your game, know your market, know your craft.
Okay.
And be humble enough to get a mentor who guides you.
I'd say just keep at it. Just don't lose hope. Keep making things. You have the internet to see if your stuff is doing well. Make stuff and put it out there.
Okay. And if we want to see some of your work, how do we access some of Jamun's productions?
So a lot of our work is on our website.
Okay.
A lot of it is on our Facebook page.
And what's your website and Facebook page?
We are www.jamun.net.
Okay.
And we're Jamun Collective on Facebook.
Okay, great. So we can see your work over there.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for answering all of my questions and for participating in Rapid Fire. It was a pleasure. Thanks for watching NIJ Changemakers. This is Priyanka Deo signing off.